I think that aging is something beautiful because I've always asked myself why in our youth sexuality is considered something healthy, and as we grow older it almost transforms into a taboo. This year I'm releasing Calle Málaga with Carmen Maura. It is a film shot in Tangiers, and it is about an aging Spanish woman who refuses to leave her hometown and move to Madrid.
Su lengua me ha hecho cosas increíbles. Es que son cosas que no te puedo contar. No te puedo contar.
Calle Málaga is a film that is born out of pain and out of loss. I wrote Calle Málaga after losing my mother. I lost my mother from one day to the next. It was completely unexpected. And I had a very, very strong relationship with her, very visceral bond that literally got cut from one day to the next. And Calle Málaga for me was my reaction, basically. It was a way for me to cope with the pain that I was feeling, to put words upon it, and I think to transform pain that I felt into desire for life, basically. I also needed to continue the dialogue with my mother. That's why Calle Málaga is in Spanish, because with my mother I used to speak essentially in Spanish. She was half Spanish. I grew up speaking Spanish at home with her, with my grandmother.
22 años. ¿Te lo puedes creer? No, la última vez fue hace 22 años. Y es muy simple. José Manuel, que en paz descanse, murió hace casi 20 años.
She used to cook for me. She used to cook all this Spanish food, the tortilla, the croquetas, and that, of course, comes out in Calle Málaga. So it was a way for me to go back into my memories somehow and keep her alive. I think that cinema has this beautiful virtue of making things eternal.
انت في الصباح سيري بحالك.
انت يا وحش ما عندكش القلب.
سمعت بواحد المرة كنت تاخد الدراري الصغار وكتلقى الله يربيهم. هادي اللي ما حتكونش. تخليه يتولد بلا سمية. ولد الحرام.
I think that aging is something beautiful. I think that every wrinkle that forms on our skin, every mark that appears on our bodies is a testament to the life we have lived, to its joys, to its sorrows. I wanted to celebrate life. I wanted to celebrate aging. I wanted to celebrate the beauty of growing old. Very often in cinema, we hide the aging bodies. It's something we did not want to see. Because I think that we put too many constraints on aging, that we have the tendency to put older people in boxes as if they were supposed to act a certain way, all these expectations that come with old age. And love and sexuality in old age is something that has always touched me very much, because I've always asked myself why in our youth sexuality is considered something healthy, something enjoyable, something that we can openly talk about. And as we grow older, it almost transforms into a taboo, as if it becomes something shameful, something that we should not speak about. I think that we must have the freedom to age the way we want to age, and not having to fit into the society's vision of aging, when inside this instinct of life, this flame is still as lively as it's always been, but then society sends you an image of yourself that you don't necessarily identify with. What do you do at that moment? Do you give in? And that's why this character of Maria Ángeles, I wanted her to break all these boxes. I wanted her to free herself and to age the way she wanted to age, to rediscover love, to rediscover sexuality, to rediscover pleasure, and to free herself somehow from this this outside vision.
شحال وانت كتسنى؟
شي ساعة.
ويدك خفيفة؟
كنخدم في فيسح. دابا تشوف.
كيبان عجبها الحرفة بصح.
It's true that when I write, I always write out of a need. And there's something that I cannot keep quiet, something that needs to come out, to express itself. I never think rationally when I'm writing. There's something just visceral about the act of writing itself, something necessary for me. It's like breathing, you know. I never know where I'm going when I write. I really just let myself get carried by my characters. There's something very, very beautiful in the sense of letting go, basically. With Maria Angeles, I would go to bed at night and close my eyes and just let her take me different places. And sometimes I would cry, sometimes I would laugh, because I needed to laugh between my tears. And then the next day I would just get up and write.
لا عليك لا على حياتك. بتونس بيك وانت معايا بتونس بيك وبلاقي فوق. دفع عليا هادشي دابا. طفيت. هي قلتي لي ماما كازيزة على برده.
ولكن ما بقاش كتسمعها ملي بابا مات.
I love silence. I'm somebody that really enjoys the sound of silence. I think silence allows you to see and hear things that you don't necessarily see and hear. That is why I think I like creating these moments of silence. And these moments of silence are not something that I think of rationally before. But as I'm writing, they are there, they come out, and I think it's because I need them myself. It really helps me delve into my characters, go under their skin, really get as close as possible to their soul. And that for me is extremely important, to be able to create this intimacy, to listen to their breathing, to be as close as possible to the characters that I'm talking about, because it's always something very, very personal in the way I like filming my characters and in the relationship I like creating between the camera and them. I think that there is a whole world that opens up once you silence the noise. Dialogue is something that can be very powerful, but silence can be as powerful as dialogue. Not putting things in words necessarily does not mean not saying them. You can say a lot of things without putting them in words. You can say things that are very political without necessarily having to translate it into words, without necessarily having dialogues. I love all that has to do with emotion without necessarily having to use an explanation for that emotion. And I think that's why, once again, I just enjoy the power of silence.